West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
Love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Man, we're broadcasting from all over the state. We got folks here in Denver. We got in Aurora, people up in Fort Collins. We're like one of those big-name radio stations that has people everywhere.
I know, everywhere.
Bringing live reporting from the courthouse in Denver. No, we're not covering the James Craig trial minute to minute with reporters live in there, but you did have a reporter in the Kick Heard Round the World trial, which is Aiden kicking me in the back while I was reporting down at the anti-ICE rally. And you got a protection order, so no coming closey to Jeffrey. Aiden. And next trial date, September 2nd, but, buddy, let me give you a little bit of non-legal advice from a guy that's not an attorney. There's a lot of videos, including surveillance video of you kicking me in the back. So let's plea this thing out. Probably better than going to trial with videos
smarter.
like that.
Yeah, probably smarter than that.
So it's a little bit of a mishmash day as I'm wrapping up down here. Just finished court time. Now I'm back at the Independence Institute broadcasting from their beautiful facilities here. I mean, really stunning. John Calder is doing a great job. Support the Independence Institute. But we're going to wrap up the show here.
Make sure you steal as many pens as you can. Just bring them back here. We need pens.
That's right.
In general.
Well, he's got a good whiskey here, too. He's got a whole setup. If you've ever watched The Devil's Advocate with like a bar.
That is awesome, yeah.
He starts drinking at about 9 in the morning. So
hey, all right. Have one for us, John.
So broadcasting here from the Independence Institute, wrapping up, and then we'll be back, of course, in the studio tomorrow. But let's turn it over to news and comment with our Northern Colorado Bureau Chief, Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, 78 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 90 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered her deputy AG to go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's former associate, in prison.
Fox News Channel last hour, despite Speaker Mike Johnson ruling out a vote on releasing files related to Epstein before lawmakers go on break in August, the reports this morning, Ghislaine Maxwell will testify.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche saying the following, quote, President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days, end quote. Blanche also saying, quote, justice demands courage. For the first time, the Department of Justice is reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask, what do you know?
Top here on Fox News Channel. Then you have the crooks like Barry, Comey, and Clapper, and the Clintons, who said, screw the American people. We run all of this. Didn't you know that? Manufactured a coup in 2016 trying to destroy DJT and the American people. But will Barry have presidential immunity?
He might be able to claim presidential immunity for his actions while he was the president of the United States, and they'll have to litigate that, right? That it's unclear whether he'll ultimately get presidential immunity for this. But I'll tell you this, it's an ongoing criminal conspiracy. And presidential immunity covers his actions while he's the president of the United States. They don't cover his actions when he's the former president of the United States. And when he's participating in the cover-up of this conspiracy, then he doesn't have presidential immunity.
That's attorney Mike Davis. 47 will welcome the Philippine president to the White House today. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will be trying to hammer out a trade deal with DJT before the August 1st tariff deadline. There is tension between the Philippines and China, primarily due to competing claims in the South China Sea. A quiet community in Castle Pines is shaken after a deadly stabbing that left one woman dead and another critically injured. Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekly says the suspect, 18-year-old Messiah Williams, was found naked and arrested in a field nearby after Sunday night's attack.
I've been here for 32 years, and I cannot remember the last time we had a homicide in Castle Pines.
I just saw a younger male with probably 10 sheriffs just around him, and he was yelling for his mom.
The stabbings happened at Canyonside Boulevard at the Madison apartment complex. Investigators said Williams is related to the two women, but did not give details. The woman in critical condition is expected to survive after suffering multiple stab wounds, with quick action from deputies credited for saving her life. Williams is facing murder, assault, and other related charges. The investigation is ongoing. Ukrainian President Zelensky says there will be renewed peace talks with Russia tomorrow in Istanbul. The previous two meetings in May and June resulted in the transfer of thousands of POWs and the remains of fallen military personnel being returned. All right, we have baseball tonight at 6:40. Once again, the Cardinals in town. First pitch, 6:40. The Rockies lost to the Cardinals last night, 6-2. 76 in Wheat Ridge, 76 in Lakewood, 78 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue in all parts of the Front Range, downtown Aurora, and up here in northern Colorado. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
We'll reach the 80s and lower 90s along the Front Range with a good chance of afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms, and lows tonight mid-60s. Cooler, we're only going to be in the 80s Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday, both days. Showers and thunderstorms are likely with nighttime lows in the lower 60s. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So, Bill, I was concerned I was going to have to spend part of my day going back listening to the podcast to hear this story. You started out the show with this hint that riveted a lot of people.
Yeah, here's a question that I was asking early this morning. If you missed it in the 6 o'clock hour, how long would it take you to notice your roommate is dead? Yeah. That happened in my proximity recently over the weekend. This is a very, very odd story, but it is about some roommates in a home and one person not realizing that one of the roommates has passed away. And how could that possibly happen? So think about a number of roommates and living situations you've had over the course of your life. Could one of your roommates in that situation pass away and you wouldn't know for an amount of time? I mean, how long would it take? I mean, think about it, Jeff. How many times have you had roommates, outside of the current little, nose minors that you have with the kids in the house? I mean, how many other times were you in a roommate situation?
Oh, I mean, all through college, grad school. I went to grad school twice, and so lots of roommates. But for me, I was always one of those, like, we were always such good friends that it came down to, like, stupid things that we would dare each other to do. You know? Like, one time we put $1 bill in a water bottle, threw it out the window, and then whoever got down there the fastest got the dollar. So it became just this like rowdy race down the stairs, and we're throwing each other places. You know, it's all that stupid stuff.
Now, here's the fun part: I think it also lets the audience know exactly your level of economic security when you guys are pushing each other out of the way for $1 in a water bottle. Again,
it was all about the principle.
Sure it was.
And then it just a bunch of guys spilling out into the lawn in front of the apartment complex, throwing each other around.
Oh, that's funny.
So, but I did have one roommate where I was always a guy, like, and my friends are the types of guys where we razz each other, right? Like, give each other a hard time. But there are some guys out there who find that very offensive and can't get the humor in it, and the idea that this is how guys show affection for each other is by giving each other a hard time, you know, coming up with nicknames, you know, that type of thing. And so that was the one time I had a roommate where I was like, you know, that guy I haven't seen in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're all kind of better because of it. But if he died, yeah, it might be a few weeks before we all figured it out.
Now, what if they were in the same house as you? Would it take you that long?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Yeah. I get it. I get those relationships where you're like, we're here to split the price of the apartment. We're not best friends, and we're going to live our lives independently. So that one I could see. How about you?
Well, I've had a couple of situations as far as roommates, and the only real issue between them, we would know immediately if someone had passed away, just because of the group of us. But the only pain points were things like, you know, you have the chore rotation, and someone believes that chore rotation is a mere suggestion. That's the only real issue, is that the person following you, when the person following you has to do all of your chore from last week just to get ready for their week, that doesn't go over so well in the house. But here's the story. Here's what we got to share with you. So I've talked on the air that in our neighborhood, there is a home that has some renters. Now, we've known the person that owns the home. We've known her for years. I mean, this is well over a decade long and probably 15, 18-year relationship. I mean, it's as in we've watched our kids grow up and become adults. So we've known her. She has moved a number of years ago out to California, still talk. Every once in a while, see her kids that are still in town. It's a nice relationship. And so we help out at their house. I take care of the lawn. I pick up the trash. I put that out during the week. I also shovel the snow and do any sort of minor
Do they pay you
stuff.
for this?
Yeah, mine a little bit,
good.
but it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a lot. It's something that I just want to make
But
sure
it's an
taken care of.
expectation.
Yeah,
it's an expectation.
Yeah. Because I would, and we did talk about the idea that there should be some money that is exchanged hands. That way, it's not looked at as just a favor, and it also maintains that I'm motivated. So that's part of it. It maintains the motivation part of the equation. So I want to make sure that it's affordable for her. It's not a lot of money, but also has a little bit of motivation that I got to do this because there's a responsibility attached to that. So. And I go over and I also do little handyman things. It's not big. I'm not going to do big things, but if, the toilet needs to be unclogged, if you need to do something with the garbage disposal, if there's a small problem you're trying to figure out why the lights aren't working, I can do a lot of that stuff. And at least tell you, no, you got to get the people that have the licenses and the insurance and stuff like that.
The Bill Thorpe Property Management
That's
Services.
basically what it is.
Available to 710K and U.S. listeners at 303-696-1971.
Yes, and I work cheap. I've gone over there and I've done things about, I've changed out air filters. I've turned off hot water heaters when they've been going bad. So it's a relationship. As far as I know the renters.
One of the benefits is when they call you over, you get a detailed explanation of European soccer.
Yes, they do. Yes, it is. You'll talk to you about why it's the best sport on the planet. Now, we got a phone call from the landlord over the course of the weekend, where one of the roommates, now the woman is selling the house, and we'll get to the phone calls here in just a second. Woman is selling the house, and so one of the roommates has moved out. Two of them are still there. And one of the roommates reaches out to the landlord and is saying, thinks that the other roommate is having some sort of an issue, a medical issue, and is concerned about her and is going to call. And so the landlord's like, well, call 911, call ambulance, things like that. And they're like, well, would Bill come over and check? And I'm like, and my wife's like, it's a good thing you didn't go over and check. And I'm like, I would have gone and checked. But come to find out that the roommate they were concerned about is now the ex-roommate, because the roommate has ceased to be part of this plane of existence. Now,
do you know their age?
Yes, 57.
Okay, so on the older scale.
Yeah, so 57 did have a medical issue as well that could have led to some complications, but shouldn't have been anything that would have been life-threatening in the next 30 years. But there was a side medical issue, and I've known her for a while. And she passed away, and so this is a Saturday night. And this was the dangerous part. Okay, not dangerous. The scary part is that the ambulance shows up, and the EMTs rush in with the stretcher. And a few minutes later, they come out with an empty stretcher. That's not good. Fire department has arrived in the meantime. They don't take the body away. Do you have to wait for a coroner? Yes, because they're there to provide emergency services. Once you are no longer present, there's no emergency. So they don't take the body. And so they leave. And then later on, the coroner shows up and the big refrigeration truck.
Oof.
And
I didn't know that they have one of those.
Oh, yeah. It's spectacular. It's very large and draws a lot of attention in the neighborhood. Got a chance to chat with some of the neighbors. Yeah. So, yeah. And again, it's like, it's hard because, one of the police officers parked right in front of our house. And so, his blue and reds are flashing and lights are on and stuff. And so, it's all over the windows. So it's not like we're going to sleep anytime soon. And they show up and they go downstairs where she's in the basement apartment. And evidently she has been deceased for a number of days. As in, they believe she passed somewhere between Sunday and Monday. And we're talking on Saturday is when the emergency call went out. And of course, there's questions about why didn't the other roommate know. Now, there is, as you talked about, strained relationships. This roommate that is still alive and the one that passed away, they did not like each other. In fact, they did have apartments or rooms in the top floor of the house that were across the hall from each other. They had such a tension-filled relationship that one of them moved into the basement to create as much space as possible. They also had opposite working schedules, so they didn't necessarily always run across each other. But there were pain points and complaints that happened routinely between the two of them, this person not cleaning up this or leaving this around. Now, the weird part is, earlier in the week, now they're landlords trying to sell the place, which again, awkward, had some people that came in to walk through and only came into the living room. It didn't go any further, in part because of the smell. And we would know what that smell is, but there were also dirty dishes that the deceased roommate had in the sink that were there since Sunday.
Yeah.
So there was some smell there as well.
Sour milk there.
Yep. And so when you start having the smell of death, when you have the other things out there, it seems to blend. It doesn't become as large. There were lots of questions about the roommate, about why wouldn't you know? But the thing for me is that that's 5 days. And, okay, I can't believe, okay, I'm going to tell this on the air. Okay. In order to make sure that everything's good, and because the relationship with the landlord, someone on the air here might have been requested to go back in and just take pictures of the deceased room to make sure that we could do inventory. And let's just say that there were indications in the room that, she had been deceased for a while. And I'm not
what's that?
You and I will talk about it off the air. There are going to be people that are eating, and I don't want to sit there and have this in your mind later on. But there are some indications and things there, so we'll talk about that off the air. So
you went back in?
Yeah,
you went in.
Yeah, I went in there with masks, went into the room, and did inventory because it's the idea of cataloging.
This was over the week. This weekend.
Yeah. This was over the weekend.
Bro, no wonder when I came in Monday and was like, hey, how's your weekend? You're like,
I was like, oh, you have no idea.
So was it still kind of smelly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, was it ever? Yeah, because that's.
I mean, do you open the windows? And stuff?
No, because they have a cleaning service that comes in, and they're going to come in and do that one, and that's like I'm not going to worry about.
I've heard that
point.
you can make bank doing that.
Oh, I bet, because who wants to do that? I mean,
and it's not just them; it's like the hoarders. It's like the really extreme cleaning stuff.
Because it is so filthy and disgusting. It's like who wants to deal with that? And there's hazardous issues. So I mean, we
So
went
what,
in there with
what were you? What were you thinking when you went in? Like, what were you like?
It was,
is there a ghost here?
No, there was part of it that we did collect a few valuable things to hang on so we can get them to the ex-husband, and the family. So we were kind of like, I was teasing my wife. I'm like, ooh, it's haunted. But not necessarily. For me, it was a lot of walking around and seeing just the pieces and remnants of her life. That was the hard part. Is that this is what's left behind, and it was difficult for me because I know that this woman is estranged from her family, hasn't talked to her family for decades, and the only real relationship outside of the roommates, etc., and some work relationships are the ex-husband. Now, she is divorced and has been divorced for a while, but it was an amicable divorce. It was one of those where it's like, I like you, I'm not in love with you. We are better apart than we are together. Yeah. No real hard feelings, but they agreed with it. And there aren't any hard feelings. In fact, we know from the landlord that the ex-husband sobbed uncontrollably when he found out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it was hard. And he's talking about having to go back and talk to the parents. And he's like, I haven't talked to the parents in 20 years. And now I've got to tell them that their daughter's dead.
Was she working at the time?
Yeah, she was. But the thing is, she worked from home. And part of it was she had a disability, which made mobility. It was a leg disability, so it made mobility very difficult. Part of the reason that you go over there and you make sure the sidewalks shoveled and things like that, because it was dangerous for her to come in and out of the house. And she didn't go wandering in the neighborhood a lot and do walks, but we saw her out every once in a while. Not a lot. She was somewhat of a recluse, which makes it more difficult. But the idea that this person and the roommate was in the house for about a week, and the roommate had passed. And so that's kind of the thing that I kept thinking about is, as a roommate or as someone that had had that cohabitation experience, how long would it take for you to notice that your roommate has ceased to be a roommate at that point?
Yeah, I understand how it could become multiple days. Especially if you're in different parts of the house, you don't get along, you kind of do your own thing. The person spends most of their time away from everybody else, and you could be like, oh yeah, I haven't seen him in a few days. Oh.
Yeah, and if there is some tension between the two, not having that interaction would be viewed as a respite. It wouldn't be viewed as something unusual. It would be like, I'm happy that I don't have to. And it's just the thing that got me was the idea that from what I understand, the roommate was upset about the dirty dishes that were in the sink and things for days, but didn't approach the roommate that had passed about it, didn't confront. And that to me, I'm like, oh, well, there was your opportunity. There's something that was a pain point that probably could have been addressed that it may not have gotten to this place.
So life lesson, dirty dishes, have the conversation.
Yeah, have the conversation. And let's just say that after someone's been deceased for a few days, it's awkward to get the body out of the house. That's not easy, as we learned. Yeah.
Like they had to turn it different directions.
No, there's bloating, and it's hard, and you can't get on it. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. And after you are ceased to be alive for a while, other things happen in your body, and sometimes let's just say that other members of the ecosystem take advantage of you not being alive. So
but you didn't have to see that.
No, I didn't. But I know, but I did had to go. Went into the room afterwards, and there were still
remnants.
We'll talk about it. And we'll talk about it off the air a little bit. It was a little rough, but it was more just the idea that it's like, wow, she's gone, and the idea of the thing that was really interesting was I don't know. It's almost the idea of throwing that rock into the pool. It's like, who's going to feel the ripples? And that was the thing that kind of, I spent some time with. That, that reflection. Yeah.
Of like when you're gone.
Yeah. The idea of what's the impact? And there's something where when her life is gone and there's a huge impact for, one or two people, but everybody else seems to be nonplussed, especially people that are involved in her life that should be the people impacted. That's hard. That's hard, man.
Well, and to reach the end of your life, and not to say that everything is petty, because I don't know what the issues are, but sometimes we let petty issues become really big issues.
Oh, do we ever?
And then we take them to the grave, and you're just like, what was that so important?
Yeah.
That we had 20 years of distance.
Yeah.
Over a fight that took place.
Oh,
over something that's trivial. I don't know. I don't know her.
I had that happen it would be just after high school, beginning of college, where there was someone that was a friend of mine. He and I it was a stupid falling out, and it was just dumb looking back at it. But we just decided we just didn't talk, and our social circles diverged for a number of different reasons. And it wasn't until about 12, 13 years ago that we reconnected, and both of us were just like, damn, can't believe I haven't talked since that long. That was just stupid. Yeah. That was stupid. At the core, we were dumb. We let emotions get in the way, and it was. And looking back, it's a minor deal. It wasn't a big deal at all. It was stupid, but we just allowed to let it to sit. And personally, I didn't go on for years going, I hate that guy. It was just they were no longer in my life. And then when they had popped up through some other connections, I'm like, oh. And we just happened to reconnect, and everything's been great since then. But we both were like, God, that was stupid. That we missed out on a lot of really good years because we let something get in the way that shouldn't have been. But yeah, it's hard. But again, how long, man? Think about it. It's wow that the roommate was, passed for days and didn't notice. And again, I don't know. It's a strange one. It's a really, really strange one.
Outreach to those you love. Check in on them.
Yeah, I do.
Ping
check
'em.
in. Yeah.
Especially if you little things like dishes that haven't been washed for days and days and days.
Yeah. Or you haven't heard from someone for a couple of days. Reach out to them.
Yeah, right.
Ask them what's going on. Yeah, because that's part of it, too, is that the ex-husband had spoken with her on, like, Thursday of last week. And there was one phone call that he placed this week, or last week, when she had passed away, that wasn't answered. But he didn't think anything of it at the time, because that wasn't necessarily that unusual.
What do you think, and I'm not law enforcement.
Yeah, please.
Clearly. But the welfare checks.
Yeah.
Like that... I don't have anything in my life, and I think about this too with traffic stops.
Yeah.
There's nothing in my life where I'm walking into it and have no idea what I'm about to deal with. I mean, yeah, kind of with phone callers. You're kind of like, I don't know what I'm getting here, right? It could be anything, but it's not anything that's going to threaten my life. I could just hang up on you. But could you imagine law enforcement, just that's like a portion of your day is just stuff that you can't prepare for, have no idea what you're walking into. And in this case, it can be someone who passed away a few days ago, and that comes with a whole bunch of complications. It could be, you see these videos of the traffic stops where the guy just pulls out a gun and starts shooting at law enforcement. Like, what the? I was just trying to give you a ticket for running, a red light.
And the other part that, and this is something that was weird, the other part is that I had to kind of thinking over the weekend. How, when you, and again, I'm not wired this way. So when you take that oath and you put on that uniform and the shield and you strap the gun to your side and you decide to serve and protect, that how, and this is just reflecting on it this weekend, how difficult it is to not let aspects of that job rob your humanity. And the reason that I was reflecting on it is because, and again, it's nothing horrible, but one of the police officers that was there outside the house, and this is, 11:30, 12, almost 12 o'clock at night. And after they load everything into the big refrigerated truck, he kind of says, okay, guys, show's over. Everybody back inside. Show's over. And that was kind of the final thing. That was the announcement he made because there were all the neighbors and stuff. And it was hard for me because I'm looking at that going, that it's not callous necessarily, but it had me reflect on that because I'm kind of thinking, for him, it's a call that he's come out to, and he has these responsibilities here. But for the rest of us, it's someone in the neighborhood someone that had been part of our community for 7 years. And so that's the idea of it. I understand show's over, but also you understand we're not here because it's a show. We're here because of a loss.
Yeah.
And so I kind of reflected on that. And again, I have no hard feelings to that, officer or anything else. But it was one of those moments that I was kind of like thinking this weekend that how hard that is in those situations because of what you have to deal with day in and day out to retain your humanity. And that aspect has got to be so difficult at times because when you're dealing with some of the worst of us, it's hard to not assume that's how all of us are. Yeah. Which I assume that this guy's had situations where he's had the looky-loos. He's had the people that are out there just ooh, what's happening? Ooh, what's happening? So again, no hard feelings for his response or anything that he did, but it just had me kind of think, wow, how difficult is that job? Like you were saying, showing up for those welfare checks, walking into those instances where we have no idea what's going on. That's got to be hard. Wow. Something I can't do.
Love to hear from you all. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Bill, thanks for sharing that, man. Not easy.
We're going to do some more sharing here in a second. Mark Crowley, video technician extraordinaire.
Dude,
and
DPD.
Former DPD. Yeah.
Bring him on.
2 words for you. He's got a story for us afterwards. I'm only going to tease it with 2 words. Axe murderer.
Bro.
Yeah, but you got to hang through the break. Otherwise, you're not going to hear the story.
Let's do it. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Well, welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. You might be normally tuning in to hear some political debate, but we are far afield from that with some
dead roommates.
Dead roommates and apparently now axe murderers.
No, I'm shocked at this one too. We're talking about Crowley.
And surprisingly, probably to a lot of people, it has nothing to do with Bill and I.
I know. No one tried to kill me at all or nothing. At least not today.
And I was in court for an assault. Still, nothing to do with Bill and I.
Yeah, still no, not at all. Oh, that's great.
You got Mr. Crowley there with you, huh?
Yes, sir. His mic's hot right now.
Here I am.
Hey.
Now, Mark Crowley is one of the producers that pulls together all of the technical complications that come together for the Jeff and Bill Show, but formerly a police officer with Cherry Hills and DPD, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as Bill was saying, you guys were talking about you just never know what you're about to walk into.
Ooh, so you had an experience in which you were called in and you didn't know what you were walking
Had
into?
no idea. We went to, I'll never forget, 1776 Franklin Street on a welfare check. And a concerned friend of this person who we were checking the welfare was a little concerned about her mental health. She had not been seen for a while, and she had called him up and asked if he could, or if he had a small tree saw or something that he could borrow, or that she could borrow from him. And that really got his curiosity up. So we literally got a search warrant and went to the apartment there, walked in, and on the floor, she was asleep in the master bedroom. We didn't know where she was. We hadn't found her yet when we walked in, but it was just a big, wide open space, open concept apartment. And on the living room floor, laid out on a large group of black plastic trash bags all taped together with duct tape, was what was left of her murder victim, which consisted of his torso and right arm handcuffed to the radiator. And it was about 90 degrees in there. There were 3 cans of the Costco size Lysol spray, and she apparently had been spraying his body for about a week to keep the smell down, as she consistently dismembered him and spread his remains around trash cans in about a 3-block area, which we found most of those pieces. And she did call her friend because she was trying to cut his head off, but the kitchen knives that she was using didn't work.
Oh, jeez. That's an awkward conversation.
When was this?
Probably 1987, 1988, something like that. And it even gets more bizarre than that. When she was committed to the Colorado State Hospital, surprise, and apparently got into a relationship with one of the nurses there, helped her escape, and then there was a murder-suicide between the two of them.
Oh, jeez.
Some like 10 years later, something like that.
What was her name?
I have no idea.
You don't remember? I'm like trying to look this up.
I tried to look it up this morning. I can't find it anywhere. You know, and all of her hospital records were probably, you know, since I think she was civilly committed to the state hospital.
And who was the victim? It was.
I have no idea.
Boyfriend?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was her boyfriend.
And she took handcuffs and chained him to a radiator?
Yeah, he was chained to the radiator.
Jeez.
The most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
What's that like when you're, you know, the idea of that you're going on a wellness check, and you always have to necessarily be prepared for the worst, but you're not prepared for that.
No.
You're prepared probably for this person's in distress, or this person might, you know, in the worst case scenario, possibly be deceased. You're not thinking, oh, maybe they're murdering someone.
Yeah, that's what you. I think the worst thought that you have is that they committed suicide.
Oh yeah,
because the caller expressed concern about mental state and all that sort of thing. So it's fairly routine to go into a place like that and find them dead from suicide. A lot of times it's natural, just natural causes. I mean, I can't count the number of just natural causes deaths on welfare checks that I went on over 27 years.
Yeah, that was one of my questions was, when you get, so as a cop, you get a welfare check, what goes through your mind?
It becomes so routine and clinical, you don't really think much about it. You just put your guard up a little bit because you don't quite know what to expect, and you just have to take the people who are complaining, I hate to say complaining, but they're called the complainant, take them at their word as to what they know. So it does allow you to prepare yourself mentally for what you might find. But I mean, oh my gosh, it's especially in situations where a lot of these people, for whatever reason, they like that apartment, the thermostat was set like to 90, so it was boiling hot in there. And then another case in a similar apartment building nearby there, a guy who died of natural causes, but was mentally unstable. Apparently had HIV and had a GI bleed, gastrointestinal bleed, bled himself out. And same thing, the thermostat in his apartment was set at 90, and he had been in there for 10 or 12 days.
Ooh.
And it's just, you just can't imagine what you see when that happens.
Yeah, that's something that you're almost not prepared for.
You
because
can't,
at that point,
no.
it doesn't even look human to certain points.
No, absolutely not. I
Not
mean,
at all.
beyond inhuman.
Oh, jeez.
Originally we were planning to discuss Hunter Biden during this hour.
Now dead bodies.
Speaking of act murders.
Welcome to the Jeff and Bill Real True Crime Podcast with Mark Crowley. Man, the amount of stories that I bet we could talk with Crowley about.
Yeah. There's a million of them that are just absolutely hilarious, but, mixed in with all of that moments of hilarity is an axe murder on Franklin Street.
I can't find anything about this.
No, I
to
can't
your
either.
point, I'm trying to figure this out.
I'm going to dig down and I'll look it up again and we'll find it, because I don't know how it was characterized in the paper, because it wasn't sensationalized for any reason. We didn't have to kick down the doors or, it happened at 4:00 in the morning and probably 4:00 in the morning.
Now, here's the crazy part with the Jeff and Bill show is that we have people that are listening, and they called in. They're like, I think I might know the case that Mark Crowley is talking about. They think that the name was something like Laura McLucky or McLucky or something like that.
I think that's.
She said that's what she thinks, and if you heard it, you may recognize it. But they think that's
very
the
possible.
one.
Yeah.
What was the name? Laura McLucky?
Like McLucky. They weren't certain on the pronunciation of the last name. They said it sounds like something like McLucky, but nice caller said that sure sounds familiar. I remember the story, and it was because of what Mark Crowley was talking about, how the person was having problems dismembering the victim because they didn't know how to separate out all the parts of the body, especially the head. And so they were having difficulty in chopping up the pieces. Like, that would be something I would remember in the story. Yes, that would be. So she thinks that's the case. That's crazy.
And so along with that, because I don't know how we figured out that.
Dude, it's Lori McLucky. Andrew Vigil.
Yeah, Vigil. There you go. Yep.
18th and Franklin.
Yep. Apartment number 1, 1776
Dude, I found a whole
Franklin.
blog about this. It's called the Denver Infamous Murder blog. All right, I'm sending it to you, Crowley.
All right, good.
Oh, man, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Well, Jeff and Bill's Real True Crime Podcast will continue.
Yes.
Thank you to
thanks,
Mark
Mark.
Crowley.
Appreciate that, man.
Always cool to have friends who
there.
That's the best.
You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. If you missed any portion of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. We've been talking a lot today. Updates on the James Craig trial and Jason Crow pulling an AOC, standing outside the ICE detention facility crying. Not really. But I have a new nickname for him, the Mile High Mockingbird, and people are loving it on X.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Because he just repeats whatever the DC libs tell him to do.
Yeah.
So we covered that. Plus, I was in court, but not for anything I did, for what was done to me at an anti-ICE rally when I was kicked in the back. All the latest there.
Some young man this morning confronted by the consequences of his actions. Yes, that's what happened this morning.
And yes, he's young, and us old men are confronted by the consequences of our actions every day.
Oh, every day. Okay, now you know this. Now, my friend, okay, I don't know if you were the same way, but there was a time in my 20s, teens and 20s, where you're like, oh, that's a problem for older Bill. Well, older Bill now is very, very pissed at younger Bill, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm so mad.
Yes, and it absolutely catches up with you. And just confirming, the new vice chair of the Colorado Republican Party, Richard Holtorf, will be joining us tomorrow during the 7 o'clock hour.
Hey, fantastic. Brand new vice chair. I guess it was a late night meeting last night, so we'll talk about him, about what happened and how
Dude, there's so many posts about what happened to the Republican State Central Committee yesterday. So all of that we'll be discussing tomorrow. If you missed any of the show today, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. Love to have you share that as well.
Yeah, share that. Yeah, hang out with us. We'll come on. Richard Holtorf is going to join us tomorrow, and we'll see what other weird things people do in the next 24 hours or so, and hopefully nobody's roommates die.
And I do want to get to Hunter Biden.
Yeah, we got to talk
and what
about
he
that.
said.
Yeah,
so we'll talk George Clooney and the great fallout that's happening there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, did Hunter? I don't know. Anybody remind Hunter he's not elected to anything? I don't know.
But he's one of the smartest men Joe Biden knows.
Oh, that's scary if that's a true statement.
We'll have lots of clips. That'll all be tomorrow. You've been listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.